Hello and welcome back to my Tron toy box. We are getting close to the end of the build for this toy box, and I'm hoping that maybe I'll finish the build today, but if not, I will definitely finish it next time, and then we'll move on to the logic. But for today, I want to build the racetrack around the perimeter of the game grid, and then we'll see how much time we have left. Now, this racetrack is not something that was in the original movie, but whenever I have enough memory available, I usually like to add a racetrack to give the player something else to do, because it can take a while to load a toy box on my Wii U. And the more fun things that I can add to a world, the more likely it is that I will load it up again later to play in it. And as you can see from the memory meter on the right, we're still not quite halfway there to pegging that meter, which is really good. Of course, we haven't added the racetrack in yet, or all of the plant clusters or decorations, and so that memory is going to get eaten up pretty significantly today, and maybe tomorrow, but we'll see how things go. Alright, so we're going to begin by placing 2 terrain cubes here as spacers for the start of the racetrack. And the racetrack will sit right next to those, like that, right on the edge of the terrain. And we're going to style this using Flynn's World. I'll set that to be my theme. And then we can take out these 2 blocks. Okay. And as you can see, the memory meter did go up just a little bit when I stuck that in there, because that adds a lot of overhead with the game logic. Alright, we're going to grab this short, wide track curve, and I'm not sure why that's not snapping into place. Oh, because I wasn't on the ground. There we go. So we're going to place that there. And then we will place a short wide track, which is this one, followed by another turn. We'll pick that piece back up and put it down to get back to that part of the drawer fairly quickly. And then pick this piece up. Put it back to get back to that part of the drawer. And we're going to follow this up with a medium. And then 2 long, wide tracks, which takes us underneath the MCP complex that we built last time. And then we'll follow that with another turn. And I'm using the wide track because a good portion of this track is going to be hovering over space there where we have no terrain under it. So I always like to use the wider track to give the player a little bit of leeway. If you use the narrow track, it's too easy to fall off that track. And I personally find that kind of frustrating as a player, so we definitely don't want to do that. Alright, then we're going to follow it up with a wide track, which is this one. And then the wide track right here, followed by a long wide track. And then some turns. Don't have a lot of memory in this toy box to build a really complex racetrack, because that's not really the point of this toy box. This is just something extra. So to make this a little more fun and challenging, we're just going to add a series of turns in here. We're going to use the racetrack pieces to give us our challenge and make this tricky. So there we've kind of added a figure S with a bunch of turns to add a little bit of challenge. And we're going to do some things on the other side too. When we come out from underneath the canyon there. But I think I want the steep track here, because we've got to drop this down to get underneath the canyons. So we'll use the steep one, followed by 2 wide pieces, followed by our end piece, and that gets us down underneath the canyon. And those are all lined up, so that's good. Okay, and then we'll use a series of these long wide tracks underneath here, and we're going to put down 4 of them. So 1, 2, 3, 4, followed by a medium, which gets us right to the edge of that floor block there above it. Okay. And then we'll go pick up our turn up here. And we'll head down towards the starting line. All right. There we go. Okay, and then we're going to use the steep ramps to get back up to the level where the starting line is, but we have a ways to go to get down there. So I'm going to use these to actually build some big speed bumps, essentially, which could be kind of fun. Help throw the player off course a little bit if you don't come at these perfectly square, which you're not going to when you come around that corner, more than likely. All right, so we hit this. We'll give them just a little bit of space to kind of get their bearings with that. And then we're going to put in our bumps. And, oh, we need one more short piece to line everything up. And a very short on the end of that. Actually, 2. Okay. And now we'll make this kind of fun and interesting. So we're going to put this in, followed by the start. Like, whoops, not like that. Like that. Got ahead of myself there. And that memory meter is, or that activity meter rather, is not liking all of this, but okay, so we'll put that in there, and then I think we can put in our turn, and that should connect us up with the racetrack start, and it does. So when you're going full speed, this nice ripply track makes you potentially go off course a little bit, and then you're going to be hitting this turn on the end, which can make that finish at the finish line kind of tricky if it's close. So there we go. There is the racetrack. And now we need to add a little bit of terrain over here. Guess we don't technically have to, but we're going to. And this should line up like this with the edge of that track. Okay. And then we'll put this piece on over here, like that. Put this up here next to the road. And then to make room for another one of those pieces, let's take this piece out and that piece out. And drop that in there, like that. Okay. And at this point, we're going to just continue this wall down. And I just thought it would be nice to enclose this around the racetrack. So it feels like you're going through a tunnel. It comes out right there. We'll do the same thing on this side. Like that. Trying to get a good view. Sorry for spinning the camera around so much, but I had to get a good view of that. And then just so there's no gaps beneath the road, actually that's off. Something got pushed back there. One downside to flicking the stick in order to get the next piece quickly positioned is that you can sometimes flick it into the wrong spot. Alright, so then we are going to place this underneath here. And we could even use the bigger one, I suppose, since we're already using that piece. Like that. And that will plug any gaps that you might see along the edge of the road on either side. Alright, so there is our little tunnel that comes through. And that can be kind of fun, especially if you put a couple of weapon generators down there. And that narrow confined space can be kind of tricky. Alright, and with that, I think that is it for the terrain. I just like enclosing that ramp because it feels like you're going down then into a confined area. Alright, how are we doing on time? Oh wow, we're doing really good on time. So I think I'm going to go ahead and finish the build. I'm going to go offline now and add all of the plant clusters and decorations because that will take a while. And when I'm done, I'll come back and show you what I've got and we'll wrap up the build. Okay, I am back and I have added all of the plant clusters and buildings and decorations. So let me give you a quick flyover so you can see what pieces I have placed and where I have placed them. And of course, as always, feel free to pause the video as we go so that you can take a close look at what we've got and you can copy what I've done. So we're going to begin here underneath where the start pad is, underneath the racetrack start. And I've placed here a couple of these trees out of the plants drawer. And notice the orientation of the flowers on the base. That's kind of important because that's going to determine when we style it to look like this piece, it's going to determine how that's oriented and it looks different from every side. Is it that important? Only if you want it to look like my toy box. But again, if you want to do something different, you're welcome to do so. But we have two trees there. And then over here, we've placed this piece from the plant clusters and this corner piece and two of these pieces back to back. And if you want to know exactly where they're placed, again, you can kind of look at the floor texture here, assuming you have oriented your blocks, terrain blocks, the same way I have. The texture on the terrain will give you an idea of where to place these, so they end up exactly where mine are. If they're not placed exactly where mine are, it's really not that big a deal for most of these pieces. And then I have placed a couple of buildings from Building Sets Group 5, Coruscant Building B. I've placed one here. I've placed one here, as well as one over here, and one here. Okay. And then I've also placed a couple of those trees out of the plants drawer right here, near the start of the disc duel, or disc duel arena and the light cycle arena. All right, let's continue around the perimeter of the toy box here, and next we come to this area. And you can see which pieces I have placed here and where exactly I've placed them. You don't need a lot because you're going to be zipping past this area pretty quickly on your light cycle. So you're not going to see the decorations here. But it's enough when you're coming through here just to kind of give you an idea that it's not perfectly flat. And then I have some boost pads that I have placed. These are out of the racetrack pieces. Notice the orientation where the arrows are pointing, and you can kind of look at the grid lines on the racetrack to figure out exactly where those go. So the player, if they want to take the risk to go faster, they can do that, but then they hit this turn. Over here we have some additional pieces, just to kind of give you an idea where those are placed on the terrain piece that they're sitting on. You can kind of see how they overlap or line up with them. Again, if you don't get those exactly right, as long as they're relatively close, you're good. The main idea is when you come around the corner of this thing, you're just kind of, again, covering up the fact that the world gets cut off here on the back side of this. That's really all those trees are doing, and they add a little bit of decoration. Under here, we don't have anything that we've done yet. But up here, we have added a couple of boost pads. Okay, in the canyons, there's only a couple of plant clusters in here. I have placed those two trees, and you'll notice this actually sticks up beyond the roof of this chamber, the ceiling of the chamber. So you may actually have to style these to get them to fit in here, but notice which way they're orienting. If you want, you can place them above here temporarily, and then when we style them, that'll tell you where they go. And over in this little cave area, same thing. We've got these plants, and these stick up into the terrain above, so you have to style these to get them in. The orientation is with the flat side against the wall there, the flat side against the wall there. Back here, we have more plants, and let me spin this around so you can get a good look at this. You can see how they're placed on the terrain that they're sitting on. And I'll give you a little bit closer look at these. And from a little bit different angle. There's the terrain seam here. Okay, and we've already placed these terrain pieces up here before, so I'm not going to worry about those. At the hangar, I've got one plant cluster here and two plants in here. Okay, on the floating islands, there's really not much here. We have one plant cluster up on the top on this island. And you can see how that's oriented. And this one is tucked down here. And again, to get this one to fit under here, you have to style it. I already styled it, put it under here, and I turned it back just so you can see which piece that I used. Okay. And that is it. There's really not all that much I have done. But let's go ahead and style all of these now, and we're going to style them using the Tron edging. And I will theme all. Are you sure? Yes. See, that changes the bounding box, so you can fit that under here. And now we have gone through and changed all of these. And really, I have not put in that many plant clusters. It's just enough to add some decoration, so it doesn't look perfectly flat back here, for example. And when you come out, it gives the idea that you're in a digital wasteland. And it looks like you have more plant clusters or more decorations here than you really do. And up here, this is what it looks like once we style it. Over here. Again, this gives you the idea as you're coming around this corner that this is another wasteland area, and it hides the fact that the terrain ends here. A little bit better decorations over on this side. Doesn't look like a wasteland here. But again, it's enough decorations just to give you something here as you're zipping past. And the two buildings. And the buildings over here. Or the plant clusters over here. And at the start of the light cycle arena. And down inside the starting room. Okay, let's add in the weapon generators now. And we're almost done with the build. So the weapon generators you find up under Creativitoys. If you go to the right, you find them here. And let me pull up my screen grab so I get these correct. The edge of the piece is here. So we're going to place these right on this line here. And we're going to space them out a little bit. Like that. And in order to use them, you have to turn them on. So you got to go into the properties, turn that flag on. Would have been nice if they had done that automatically, just so you can drop it and use it, but they chose not to make that the default for some reason. Alright, so right after this starting line, you get some weapon pickups. And we're going to put another set of those right in the tunnel down here as soon as you get into it. So if we come down here and we select this piece of long, wide terrain, racetrack rather, we're going to place them, weapon generators, right about here. And we'll do just what we did on the other set, space them about the same locations, the same distance apart. And turn them on. Okay. And that is it. The build exercise is done. The racetrack is there. How are we doing on time? We're doing pretty good. We got a few minutes left. I'm thinking it would be a lot of fun to go ahead and race this, since I did not do that in the playthrough. So let's drop down a ground vehicle, and of course I should probably use the light cycle, but I'm going to use the light runner. The light cycle is what we'll actually have in the game, but let's hop in and take this thing for a drive. We'll have a little fun as we wrap up our video. Whoa! Let's take the speed boost. Whoa! Lightning is hanging right with me. I don't think I got anybody there though. Whoops, missed the things. And here's where it gets interesting, because if you're not lined up, whoa, and then you come around that corner. So if you're not lined up well, you can end up flying right off the track. Oh, I think that was what I had dropped. Oh yeah, I forgot I got weapons in this thing. This thing charged up. Ah. I was trying to... Oh man! Oh no! Ah, final lap. I'm in third place. How'd that happen? Gotta get my boost meter filled up here. Alright, here we go. We're gonna get really risky here. I don't think I'm gonna catch lightning though. And there we go. Second place. Well, that was fun. And with that, the build exercise for my toy box is done. Next time, we will start working on the logic, beginning with the challenge in the disc duel arena. Before you go, leave a comment and let me know what you think of the build and my racetrack now that everything is completed. And if you're building this along with me, let me know that too. Also, be sure to like and subscribe for more toy box builds like this. That's all for me today. Thank you for watching and take care.